Hi guys, welcome back to the Free Radical Life, where Jesus is the only way, the absolute truth, and the abundant life. Jesus is the Free Radical Life. I'm Chosen Jenny, and today guys, we are going to the Philippines. Exciting guys. I'm so excited about today's episode. Today is gonna be part one of a two-part episode on the Philippines, guys. There's so much to tell about the Philippines. I had to split it in two videos. So firstly, I want to greet you by saying Magandang gabi po. That means good evening in Tagalog, which is the Filipino official language. Alright guys, before we get into this video, you know how we roll. I got a little beverage right here, I got a little cup of water. And we're going to go to the Word of God, because we have to continue to declare God's Word over our lives and over our testimonies, because it reminds us of who we are in Christ in relation to Satan. And we need to have this knowledge at the forefront of our minds always. So we're going to go to Revelation chapter 12, and I'm reading from verse 10 to verse 11. Then I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, "Now salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brethren, who accused them before our God day and night, has been cast down. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives to the death." Hallelujah. Guys, I don't know about you, but that excites me, and it's something that the Holy Spirit has reminded me, and he's always reminding me when I do these testimony videos to read the scripture, because it's something that we know the Word of God is alive and active, and we have to continue declaring it and understanding it. Even if we don't get it right away, the more we speak the Word and we understand it, we imbibe it, it comes into our spirits, it comes into our consciousness, into our minds, and goes into the recesses of our hearts and souls, and we understand that indeed, when we testify about what God has done in our lives, about his goodness, or we have overcome different things, we overcome Satan over and over again, right? So guys, I'm not gonna keep you in any more suspense. Let's get straight into the video. You are near. You're all I want. You're all I've ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are near. Woo! Yeah. Alright guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little insert right there with those photographs. We're gonna get right into the thick of things now. Alright, so in 2012, about February, we sailed into the Philippines for the first time, and it was so exciting because it was my third port, and I was really looking forward to going to Manila. I've heard about Cebu, I heard about Manila, and I'm looking forward to going to these places, right? And so in February of 2012, Logos Hope made her grand entry into the Philippines, to Cebu. Cebu was our first port, right? So guys, I want to give you a little bit of history on the Philippines. If you see me looking down, I just have some notes here, because I'm telling you, this video is a lot to share, and I really hope you enjoy today's episode, right? So the Philippines is one of the group of islands in Southeast Asia as well. It's not very far from Singapore or Malaysia. I think it's probably, is it east of Malaysia? Guys, don't quote me on this. I'm supposed to know this on the map, but I don't remember right now. I know that Singapore is south of Malaysia, and I believe that the Philippines will be east of them, right? There are over 7,000 islands, guys, in the Philippines. It's crazy. It's an archipelago. So it's a group of islands, a chain of islands, and there are over 7,000 islands in this country, right? Cebu is one of those islands, and there are three major regions. So Cebu is on its own, and you have three major regions. You have Luzon, you have Visayas, and there's Mindanao. So Luzon is at the top, the north, Visayas is in the middle, and then at the south you have Mindanao. It's like in Jamaica, we know the three what do you call those things? I can't remember the code word. Middlesex and Surrey. The three Guys, please put it in the comments. I don't remember the word that the three things that we have in Jamaica. Cornwall is on the western end. Middlesex is those are in the Midlands. So 3 counties, I think it's counties, right? Cornwall, Middlesex, and so sorry. But they don't really call them counties. You just have the divisions of the land. You have Luzon, Visayas, and you have Mindanao. So during our time in the Philippines, we visited islands in Luzon and Visayas. Mindanao is a predominantly Muslim group of islands, and so we didn't obtain any permission during our time to go to Mindanao, right? So guys, the Philippines is a very special place to me. And before I go further, let me do my plug here. And I'm doing this plug again, guys, because the story, it is, I don't know, this story is so amazing. I was reflecting on some photographs recently, and I'm like, I can't believe I actually went to this place. I can't believe I got the opportunity to go to these places and see these things and to do this work. Guys, read about this in this book. These books are not for me just to tell my story, but they were inspired by God to encourage young people who are thinking about missions. But even if you're not thinking about missions in terms of going overseas or on the ship, you want to do something bigger than yourself. You want to do something that people may look at you and say, oh, that's strange, but God has placed it on your heart to do it. These books will encourage you to take that first step and to what I call to walk on the water. That's the way that Peter did, right? So get your copy of these books. They're on Amazon. They're not expensive. And, you know, maybe I'll throw in a package deal at some point. But just go on Amazon. If you can only get one copy, get one. You can go ahead and get it on Kindle if you want to do that. But get your copies of these books, guys, because I'm telling you, they will really encourage you. They will boost your faith, and they will ignite something inside of you to pursue what God has given you to do without reservation, wholeheartedly. Even when it's you alone, God give the vision to, right? He will make people come alongside you as you start to step out in faith and in obedience, right? So, first volume, 2 Years at Sea, and they have Local Super Adventures, right? So that's my shameless plug right there. Alright. So, sorry. As I said, there are 3 main regions, and we spent 9 months in 2012 in, I would say average 9 months, because it was from February to about November, right, that we spent, oh, like 10 months? That's 10 months. Counting, guys. That we spent in the Philippines, and you're like, what you doing in the Philippines for 10 months, girl? I was getting to understand the people, learning about the people, loving the people, serving the people, and it was a magnificent time. It was amazing. In 2013, we visited 2 other ports, so we're going to talk about those 2 ports in the second half of this series, right? But today I want to focus on the places that we visited in the first year, right? The language, as I had mentioned to you earlier, the official language of the Philippines is Tagalog. Some people call it Tagalog, some people say, and they will say Tagalog. They will say Tagalog. So they have, you know, their accent and how they pronounce things, and I love Filipino people, I just have to say, them amazing, right? So in the Philippines, P is pronounced as F, and F is pronounced as P. So when they're gonna say four, they say pour, like F-O-U-R, they would say pour, right? And so they would not say Philippines, they would say Philippines. You know, it's very interesting, their culture, and they are an amazing group of people, and I'm so happy I got the opportunity to be there for that length of time. The people of the Philippines, they're very hospitable. They are, and when I say simple, I don't mean they're simple-minded, but how they live is very, you know, chill, relaxed, kind of like how we live in Jamaica. Some people come to Jamaica and like, oh, Jamaica, no problem, man. And, you know, things are really laid back here. Filipino time is the same as Jamaica time. You will tell them 12 o'clock when they come, you know. So being in the Philippines kind of reminded me of being at home, not just with the time, but just the people were so relaxed and chilled and everything, and it was really amazing to be around them and to spend time with them. They're reserved in their personality, so there's a thing about them, they're not gonna look you like straight in the eyes. It's like a thing you're not supposed to look. You're not to look them straight in the eyes, to be too bold. So they have a shyness about how they do things. But I think it's beautiful. So you kind of get to learn how they do things. And it's funny, you know, even though they say that they're shy, when they get to know you, they're all up in your business. They don't want to leave you alone. And it was a little bit challenging for me. You know, you want some alone time and they're always around and you're like, whoa, this is kind of a little bit too much. But they're friendly. They're very hospitable. Oh my goodness. They will sell everything. They will take the clothes off of them back, sell it and buy something to you because they want you to feel welcome as their guest, as a foreigner. I've been to many places, many homes people could not afford certain things, and I felt guilty, like, look where you live, look at the space you're living in, why are you doing all of this for us? I mean, look at what you are living in, and you're going and buying this for us, and you know, giving all of this treatment. And I might just look at the space that you're in. I mean, I would say that to myself, but it just shows the genuineness of their hospitality. That is how they are as a people, right? And by extension now, those that are Christians, it's just amazing to me. They have huge hearts, they love people, they're very warm, they're friendly, they're hardworking, and then persevere through a lot of different trials, and them always have something positive to say even when things are not going the way that they want it to go. So I thought about their hospitality, second to none, like literally, guys. Their religion, their main religion is Catholicism. So over 90% of the population are Catholics. And second to that, they have what they call the Iglesia Ni Cristo. I'm going to go in a little bit more about that one as the video progresses. And in Cebu, they have what they call the, oh my goodness, I just slipped me. It's called the Santo Nino. But I'll have to look it up and I'll post it in the description exactly what the name of that religion is. So it's like the Santo Nino de Cebu, right? Because it's something that is local to Cebu. So I don't know if is it El Santo Nino, or did you say? I think they just say Santo Nino de Cebu. I think that's all they call it. Right. So it's the Santo Nino de Cebu. I just got my thoughts together there. Alright, so yeah, it's Catholicism, Iglesia Ni Cristo, and Santo Nino de Cebu, which is local to Cebu, right? So that's a little bit of background of the Philippines and their spiritual and religious climate, for want of a better expression. So as I said, in my first year, I visited 3 ports. I visited Cebu, Manila, and Subic Bay. So Subic Bay is located, is it in Palawan? I think it is. Palawan is one of the islands that is more western in the Visayas area, right? So guys, our first stop was Cebu, and wow, I'm just, I'm not just sharing the testimony off the top of my head. I do have my notes, as I said. But I was really excited about visiting this port, and even though the Philippines is one country and each island has its own culture, that's the thing. Each part, when you go to, there's like a difference in the atmosphere. You can sense a difference in the culture. Though some things are, of course, gonna be general. The way that people look, the way that they sound, even the accent is different across different parts of the country, as it is with every country that you visit. But being in Cebu, it was very tropical. The entire Philippines is tropical, but there was something about it because it was like, it's an island that is in Visayas, but it's not close to many other islands, right? So being in Cebu was just an epic time for me. And some of the things I want to share with you, some highlights that I took away from this island, was learning from some of the young people there that I met. So I had the opportunity to go with a team to a church where a group of young people ministered, and they welcomed us with just open arms. This church was like a house church. I mean, we have some of those in Jamaica. Many of you guys may never have experienced. I've never experienced any of them in Jamaica, but I know that they're here. And it was like a little hut. When I went up to this place, I was like, is this a church? I couldn't believe that it was actually a church because it looked like a hut from outside. But when you went inside there, I mean, let me tell you something. You see Filipino people? Let me tell you, they have a certain kind of pride. They will have a little hut as a house, and when you go in there, you're like, this is crazy. They make what they have into a home. They use their resources and make what they have into something excellent, into something beautiful. And they have the most beautiful singing voices. Oh my gosh, guys, there's no other. Like, I love Jamaicans, I love Africans, mentally, the Filipino people. I don't know one of them who can sing. Even those that I met that were not Christian, they can sing. They have the gift. God, as I said in Jamaica, dash it on them. Dash the gift of musicianship and singing on them. So beautiful. And the young people, it's like something that they grow up with. Especially when they are Christians in their church, they teach them, they train them. And so going to this church and seeing the young people on the stage, they were singing, they were doing dancing, and I was just in awe. I just felt like these are my people, because I love working with young people. And at the time, I didn't discover that yet. I was learning. And it was just so beautiful to watch them minister, and after that, how they engage us. And when they go somewhere, you feel like you know somebody for a long time. I felt like I was known for so long, a long time in that church. And when it was time for us to go, it was one day. They didn't want us to leave. And of course, in true Filipino hospitality, if you go somewhere and if you share whatever, then feed you afterwards. And when they're feeding you, they're not just saying, oh, here, oh, there. It's like a smorgasbord. They make you feel so at home. You eat to your heart's content, and it's just amazing. I'm not talking about the food, guys, because people have this obsession with food. you know, and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to try these foods. Why am I going off? Am I going off? Let's come back. I'm just saying, don't focus on the food. But I'm just saying, it's part of the hospitality is sharing food with others, especially visitors. Is part of Filipino hospitality, sharing a meal. And so I remember when we were leaving, they walked with us to the exit all the way out because we had to. I think what happened is that yes, we were. They brought us because it was a jeepney. Guys, you're gonna see jeepneys in this video. If you watch till the end, you will see pictures. I'm putting pictures in all of my videos if you haven't watched them so far. So they walked us out from the church and they sang us off. So they walked us out from the church straight out to the main road, and it was so beautiful because I'm like, man, I felt like I'm leaving my friends behind. It was the first, as we say on the ship terms, connect day. So you go out and you connect with the people, the locals. It was the first connect day I was having in Cebu, and I felt like I was leaving my friends behind because we just in those few hours we connected with them like this, you know, and I learned so much from them about their culture and just about what they love to do. Just observing them, it was so beautiful, and so I felt really heartbroken leaving them that day. It was the craziest thing, but I'm so grateful that we had the opportunity to share with them. I really hope that when the people that I haven't forgotten them, so I'm hoping that they haven't forgotten us, you know what I mean? So that was one of my highlights, being in Cebu, right? Another highlight I had was going to the Cebu House of Prayer. So the House of Prayer is an international ministry, as some of you may know, and Cebu has their own House of Prayer, and going there and meeting with the ladies. I don't remember how I even got introduced to it, but I started going a couple of days each week. So I'd go maybe 1 or 2 days in the week whenever they had their services, and we'd go there and just worship with them, pray with them together. And I met a young lady there who's half Jamaican. It was very interesting. Her dad, I think she said, is Jamaican. I think she said he came from Spanish Town. And her mom is Filipino, but she has never been to Jamaica. And, you know, so one of the two, I don't remember which one of her parents, but she could understand the dialect. I was so excited. So I would speak to her in Jamaican patois and she would get it. And, you know, it was so exciting. That alone made me feel so welcome with them. They're welcoming in general. But, like, I kept going back, forming a friendship with them because of her. Not just her, but, you know, that kind of, you know, put icing on the cake. So that was a blessing and a highlight for me. Another highlight I had was going to another Connect Day where they had sign language interpretation. So in Cebu, the language, the local dialect is called Cebuano. So for example, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tutorial now. So in Tagalog, when we say good morning, it is magandang umaga. You can repeat after me, you can go ahead. Magandang umaga. Right? So that's the Tagalog, the general way that they would say good morning in the Philippines. But in Cebuano, they would say maayun buntag. They would say maayun buntag. So I was able to learn some Cebuano before even learning Tagalog when we moved on to Manila and the other ports. And it was just beautiful to see the difference and the diversity of the languages between the people. And so I went to this church and they were speaking, the man of course was preaching in Cebuano. I don't understand nothing in Cebuano this time. You know what I'm saying? I knew they teach us a couple of phrases, that was it. But there was someone interpreting there for deaf people. So they had a sign language interpreter there, and I was like, oh my goodness. Guys, I'll testify in another video about sign language on my mission journey. That was epic for me, right? So what happened is that I went to the side of the church where the interpreter was because I could not understand the Cebuano. And I sat there and I watched, yes. Or I listened with my eyes, everything that this interpreter was teaching. And I remember one of the girls that we went on a team with, she said to me, do you understand him? And all I could do was just be like, it really floored me. I was so excited. I couldn't understand Cebuano, but I was able to sit with the deaf people and understand what was being preached because I could understand sign language. And that, oh my goodness, as I said, that's gonna be a testimony for another video, and I want to encourage you guys to watch it because it's a powerful testimony. It's just amazing how God answers prayer and how God works in the lives of his people, and we trust him, and he just does exceedingly abundantly more than you could ask or think. He literally blows your mind, you know. So that was a highlight for me, being able to watch the ASL being signed, and I was able to understand, even though I couldn't understand Cebuano, I was able to reach, I could understand as a Cebu native through sign language and not through the native language. And to me, that just was just amazing, you know. So those were some of my highlights of being in Cebu. One other thing that we we learn our word there. As I said, they have what they call the Santo Niño de Cebu, and it's basically for a religion, for what a better expression, where they pay homage to the baby Jesus, right? So they pay homage to Jesus in baby form, in child form. So and hence Santo Niño. So the child, the baby child Jesus, they have this kind of reverence for the baby child Jesus. It was very interesting to learn and observe. I remember one night we were on the ship and we heard, this commotion outside, and we looked not near to the quayside on the road. There was a whole parade of people, and we had Filipino persons on board with us that were crew members, and we asked them what it was. They told us that it was a Santo Niño festival. And so I was like, wow, they had a whole festival celebrating the baby Jesus. So it wasn't just celebrating baby Jesus, but they have statues. So you're going to see some pictures in this video, guys. They have little statues of the Santo Niño that they take with them everywhere they go. So I remember a couple of nights after seeing that parade, we would be in the book fair on deck 4, and persons came into the book fair and they were walking with their little baby Jesus dolls. And I was like, wow, that it kind of course, it was a culture shock. I'd never seen anything like that. They're basically idols. So they walk up and down with these, so when I say walk up and down, that's the Jamaican expression. They walk around with these little mannequins that look like baby Jesus. They're not actually babies. They're little Jesuses. The better expression. They're baby Jesus, but not like a baby like this. But they're like, you'll see the pictures, guys. And these baby Jesus, they are, it's not even like the child, sorry, the Christ child. It's not baby, the Christ child, because Nino, right? They are dressed up in some really exotic, pretty, shocking, I don't know what other adjective to use, glittery, pretty garments, and I remember they had a museum nearby, and I went with a friend of mine. I went to the museum. It was really a Santo Niño museum, and there were Santo Niños everywhere, and they were put in like glass cases, and they wrote which Santo Niño this was, and who founded this one and whatever, and what it does. And so you had Santo Niño for love, and Santo Niño for healing, and Santo Niño for prosperity, Santo Niño for I don't know, all sorts of things. So it was like there were Santo Niños for each thing. So if you wanted a Santo Niño to get better, or a Santo Niño to make you rich, or a Santo Niño, to make you wise, they had these little Jesuses. So the one that was for love had like an arrow looking like Cupid. Another one that was like kingly, was dressed up as a king with a crown. Another for healing, maybe had something like healing. And I was really floored, to be quite frank, by what I saw. I didn't judge them or anything, but I was like, wow, it was fascinating to me to see this whole new thing. It was just interesting to be in this new place. Another thing that I remember from Cebu was a lot of poverty. There were a lot of street children that were near to the ship, like on the quayside nearby. In the streets, they would be there. And I remember some of the crew members invited them on board to come now and then to have meals. And I have to be honest, I must share my testimony. It really kind of bothered me, because I'm like, these children, they're dirty, they're dirty. So at the time, I was not open enough to like reach out to these street people and these street children. They would come onto the ship running up and down, and they would come into the dining room and use the same utensils that we use, and I'd be like, I was iffy about it. I'm being honest, guys, I'm just saying, but when I think of the impact I really made on these children, and I would observe how they would feel loved and how they would respond to how they were treated, I was like, it was worth it. And I felt, my heart reached out to them, although I didn't actually interact with them when I was there, So those are some of the things that I experienced in Cebu. It was really a blessing to be there, So yes, guys, let's take a little break and then we'll come back. Watch this. Alright, guys, we're back. So the next port we went to was Manila. Manila is the capital of the Philippines. Oh my god, Manila. I was excited to go to Manila. We were there for probably just a week and a half. We didn't spend very long in Manila. And as a result, guys, Manila is very foggy to me. I don't mean this in a negative way, but the place was actually really foggy too. Not driving. Sailing into Manila. Smog. I remember, what I remember most about being there was the smog. The thickness of the smog in the day. I didn't go on the quayside much. I didn't go out of the ship much in Manila, because I believe we were docked in a place where we had to really go a distance to get transport. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I wasn't so eager. Another thing may have been that I don't know, I was interested in the city. People would say, but you're on a ship, you're in the Philippines, you should go out. I just didn't find Manila interesting, so I didn't go anywhere. You know, I'm trying to remember if I had a connect day in Manila that I don't remember. Maybe I did, I don't remember. But that was something that, not since now, but since I've come back, I can't remember much about Manila, to be honest. I did celebrate my birthday while we were in Manila. So we were there in March, and that was a blessing. You'll see photos of that as well. I do remember the quayside, but as I said, I didn't really go on shore in Manila much. So I would be, would have made sense for me to tell you, oh, it was so great. And this is me giving my testimony about my experience in Manila, So if I remember anything, I'll let you know. So after we left Manila, we went to Subic Bay, right? So Manila is also in Visayas. Cebu is in Visayas as well, but like more south. And Manila was a little bit more north. Sorry, one of my highlights in Manila was going on a challenge team there. But guys, the challenge team, sorry, I will tell you about in another video. In the second video. So I spent 4 weeks, I just remember now, of course, that in Manila, near to Manila, on a challenge team. What's a challenge team? You'll find out in the next video. So I do have recollection of Manila in that sense, but when we just entered and were there for a while in March, I didn't really do much being there. So we headed into Subic Bay around April, I think. So I had to leave from Subic Bay to go to my challenge team in Manila because we were there when challenge team started. And when we went to Subic Bay, guys, we went there for what they call a dry dock. So a dry dock is a maintenance period that ships go through. Is a standard procedure for ships to renew different documents and also to outfit the ship with whatever mechanical parts, anything needs to be fixed or updated, and to do some housekeeping like on the physical ship, the ship physically. You go into the dock, they drain the water so you can see the hull. It's very interesting. I'm gonna do a separate video on that. There's so many videos coming, guys, really and truly. But I'll spend a little bit of time talking a little bit about Subic Bay in this video. So Subic Bay is basically, or it still is. It was a naval base for the U.S. Army. I'm not sure which decade that was, but it was a naval base for the U.S. Army a couple of decades ago. It's not primarily used for that anymore, but U.S. Naval Forces still come there. And Marine Forces, not naval, still come there to use it because when we were there, they were in and out, in and out. So the primary use of Subic Bay was initially for U.S. vessels to come there and to dock and to do whatever business they had to do while they were in the Philippines. I didn't say this in the history, but historically, Philippines was colonized by Spain, and then after the colonization period ended, America came in and they had different claims to the country. I still don't know much about the history, but we know that the Americans do have something there to do with the history, the development of the country as it is today. So while I was in Subic Bay, so many things happened. So I said the dry dock. But I want to talk a little bit about the city of Olongapo, because Olongapo is the city. The Subic Bay is the outskirts, so it's like you're docked at the port, and then the SBMA, which we call the Subic Bay Metropolitan Area, is a really tourist area. So you see people from different countries there. A lot of United American citizens live there. Not a lot of people live there because it's not somewhere where you really have permanent residency, but like you have a few hotels there, a lot of fast food restaurants, but you see a lot of Americans there like chilling and enjoying. A lot of tourists are in that area. And then now you have, when you go more in or out of that area into the city of Olongapo. So you'll have Olongapo here, and then Subic Bay is like outside on the outskirts leading to the port, right? So Olongapo city was a very poor city, as I remember it. When I say poor, I mean moving from the SBMA area, there's like a bridge before you enter the Olongapo city area, and a lot of street children were there that we encountered, and eventually some of us made acquaintance with them and friends with them. But it was just interesting for me to see the stark difference between two places that were just separated by a bridge. It wasn't as if it was a different city, like you drive out of the poor area into the rich area. It was literally like from one gate to the next gate, there's a bridge there, and it was two completely different worlds. The city life is bustling, and there you see a lot of hustle and bustle and a lot of street kids, let's say, and street people on the street. And it was just really disconcerting, for want of a better expression, to see that happening there. But I'm gonna get to some of my highlights as well in a longer poll. Meeting a Cebu native there, and eventually I would have worked with their church and a challenge team as well. You know, it was a blessing to meet this pastor and work with this church. Young people in the church were just fantastic. It was a blessing to work as again I said I was learning more about myself, that I was gonna be working with young people in the future, because at the time I didn't know much about that, right? During my time in Olongapo or in Subic Bay, I learned a lot about the will of God for my life, because when I started working on board the ship, I started in one department, and then by the time we headed into Cebu, I had switched departments. And so while I switched departments, I had to learn the new roles and just understand how to accept different responsibilities, and not think that, I don't deserve something because I didn't work for it, or, get it the way that other persons got it. So I had to learn a lot about that during that time when we transitioned into the Philippines, from Cebu into Subic Bay. Alright, so guys, I want to touch a little bit on the dry dock, right? The dry dock lasted 9 months. We went into Subic Bay for 3 months. That was what they was told us. We'll be there for 3 months. We're gonna do dry dock, and we're out of there. We had scheduled to go to Indonesia. We're gonna go to Bali. I was so excited to go to Bali and 2 other ports. And during our time in the dry dock, those ports got cancelled. CANCELED. I hope I didn't miss an L there, right? So those ports got cancelled, and it was interesting to see the response of ship's company to that, because in the beginning I was like, look, after 3 months we need to get going. But then as the dry dock progressed, it turned into 6 months, and it turned into 9 months. And I started realizing that God had a plan for us to be in the Philippines at this particular time, because these persons were in darkness, and He needed us to be the ones to shine the light to them. The Iglesia ni Cristo religion is a religion that believes things like, there's a particular man that they say is the last messenger, and similar to Muslim, and so they believe in certain things similar to the Catholic Church, sacraments, doing certain things in order to earn salvation, and being punished for certain things or not. If you don't do certain things, what kind of punishment you would receive. And seeing how devout Filipinos, they're very devout in their belief of Catholicism and the Iglesia ni Cristo. They're very devout. You go to their homes, the little Jesus that has his hand like this. All of them have that picture in their house. All of them. All of them. And you go to the poorest places, and they are staunch Catholics. They are staunch in whatever they believe. And one of the things I've discovered, I learned about Filipinos, is because they're staunch in what they believe, when you're able to teach them the truth of Jesus Christ and they are converted, these people amaze me. I've never seen another group of people like this on the face of the planet. When they receive Jesus, they hold on to Jesus for their life. If they have no food, if they have no money, they have Jesus, and that's all they need. They don't care. They don't care about food. They don't care about comforts. They don't care about anything. I've never met a group of people like this. When they meet Jesus, and they are not, they're people that they believe the truth. For some reason, God has opened their heart to the truth so easily. So once they grasp it and they believe it, they're running with it. So it's not to say that whatever you tell them, no. Once their heart is open and they understand that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and they hold on to that, they will trade everything they have when they find Jesus. I've seen it. I've seen young men in the prime of their lives. They meet Jesus, they don't have anything. They go back to the prison to minister. I'm like, yo, go get a job. They are excited about Jesus. They go back to where they came from. They go back to those who do not have the gospel, and they share it with them. This is how these people are. Once they've encountered Jesus, you can't change their mind. It's just Jesus and nothing else. And so I've just had such a deep appreciation for learning from Filipinos about their heart for God. They are so passionate about God. The young people, I've never seen young people worship God the way that they worship God. They're passionate. They're passionate about Jesus. And we take for granted so much that we have here in the West. Even though persons in the East, in the Philippines, they are Christians, it's still different. How they love on God, how they give all that they have. I remember being at this church. I'm touching a bit on the second video now. With the team in Manila. The place is called Cavite. And the young people there, oh my goodness, I don't understand. I'm like, don't you guys work? Don't you? It was summer. But they were there every day. They were there every day. If they had Sunday services, they were there from maybe 7 a.m. before the service started at 9. And they were so committed to what they were called to do in the church. They were rehearsing from days before. And on Sunday mornings, they came as early as possible to make sure. And I had to tell them that before that. I'm like, guys, I admire your ethic, your passion, your commitment, your dedication to the work and the house of the Lord. It was just beautiful to see. And everywhere I went, it was the same. The young people were on fire for God. They're passionate about God. And they minister to God with all of who they are. You know? So guys, this was the introductory video, basically, of my time in the Philippines. Next time when we come back, I'm going to share with you some of the challenge teams I went on while we were in Subic Bay, and a little bit more about the Subic Bay dry dock, because as I said, there's so much that I wanted to share. I just wanted to kind of get in and tell you how, you know, the persons in the Philippines are and just what it's like. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this video, guys. You know, I've kept you long enough, so enjoy the pictures, enjoy the videos, and I will see you next time for part 2. Bye bye.